This video is brought to you by Ontario Agri-Food Education and Grain Farmers of Ontario. This video has been developed to provide you with the facts about pesticide usage in Canadian farm operations. The goal is not to persuade you to think one way or the other, but to encourage you to look at both sides of any topic and to base your choices and beliefs on facts. There are many ways to grow food. Decisions can be based on economics, the environment, or personal beliefs. Pesticides are sometimes necessary in farming to ensure food safety as well as environmental protection and protection of the bottom line for a farming operation. Key facts to remember are that the majority of farms in Canada are still family-owned and operated, and Canadian food is safe and nutritious.
A pesticide or a pest control product is a product, a device, an organism, a substance, or a thing that can be used to control, prevent, destroy, or repel any pest. Now, a pest on a farm would be things such as weeds, insects, plant diseases, or rodents that might cause negative impacts on a farmer's crop, their livestock, or on the farm itself. There are many types of pesticides registered by Health Canada for use on Canadian farms. These would include various types of herbicides for controlling weeds, insecticides for controlling insects, fungicides for controlling plant diseases or fungus, as well as rodenticides for controlling things like mice and rats on a farm.
That's our main pesticide we use, is herbicides to control weeds in all the crops. Most of it's in crop rather than a pre-emerge spray, because I don't like seeing any pesticides go to waste.
If we are spending $1 on a product to protect our crop from a pest or to kill a weed that's competing with our crop, that's $1 that's coming out of our pocket. So we're only going to use those products in a situation where we feel it's justified and where we think we're going to get a return for spending that.
Within the province, there are usually agricultural departments who have specialists on hand that can help farmers determine what type of pesticide they should use to control a particular pest, or use on a specific crop, or even within the specific soil type in the area that they're growing their crops. Historically, most pesticides were manufactured chemicals, but today's trend is towards more non-conventional type pesticides, which tend to act more mildly than the traditional pesticides. Some examples of registered non-conventional pesticides are iron, which has been registered to control weeds on your lawn, or garlic, which has been registered to control mosquitoes in your backyard.
They're not all made in a laboratory by combining two different chemicals or synthetic products. Some of them are natural products, and we have found some of those work better than the chemicals. So the natural products, if it's available and it works, it's a great idea.
Health Canada is trying to make non-conventional pesticides more available to the Canadian farmer by allowing for a faster registration process, as long as the risks to human health and the environment are still acceptable. Before registering a pesticide, Health Canada assesses a wide range of studies to determine the environmental fate as well as the potential environmental risk of using that pesticide in the environment. If the product is going to be used on food, additional rigorous assessments are done to ensure that any residues that are left on the product at the time of harvest are safe for human consumption. And based on the assessments, we set what are called MRLs, maximum residue limits. And these MRLs would be the maximum amount of a pesticide residue that could remain on the product at the time of harvest. Now, legally, these MRLs are set well below the level at which there would be a concern for human health based on consumption of that particular residue. And this is how we ensure that Canadians are eating safe food.
In order for me to be able to apply a herbicide to my crop and to be able to buy that herbicide, I have to get a certification and to be accredited to be able to use these products, and with that I'm trained in the proper and safe way to use them.
You sometimes wonder if we need all this training, but it's actually good because we renew it every 5 years. And it's just a good idea to run that test so that we both have, that you have general training and try to keep up to date what's going on.
Not if used properly and under the proper standards and guidelines that they're given. I don't believe they pose any danger, especially nowadays compared to how they were used 20, 30, even 40 years ago. I think at that point the amount that were put on and the amount that were safely put on were a small percentage compared to now. You have custom applicators and farmers that are trained putting them on the fields. So I would say the amount of risk to the environment or to wildlife has dropped substantially over the last 25 to 30 years, and I don't think it poses much of a risk at all.
Not only is this our farm and our business, but it's our home where we raise our family. So we want that home to be a safe environment for our kids too.
As you can see in the background, there's a cornfield. The house is within walking distance. That field there is, we use normal farm practices on it. It's been sprayed according to when it's needed sprayed. We watch the weather conditions so that we don't have any spray drift or anything like that. The quality of the herbicides that we're putting on crops now is much better. Years ago we were talking liters and gallons per acre. Now we're talking millimeters per acre. So we're handling a lot less product, and I believe we're doing a much better job.
So we grow corn, wheat, and soybeans here on our farm. A lot of the crops we grow have been genetically enhanced through biotech. They're resistant to certain diseases and pests, and they've been a good crop for us to grow.
We use biotechnology where we find it is beneficial to us, using natural genes that are inserted into seed to help control particularly pests such as corn rootworm or corn borer.
In the dairy end of it, we don't use a lot of insecticides or anything near the cattle. We try to keep our barn well ventilated. We have tunnel ventilation for the cows, so there is a strong breeze coming through our barn, which makes it uncomfortable for the flies. So there is natural ways to do it instead of just always coming with a spray.
So many farmers practice what's called integrated pest management, or IPM. Integrated pest management is the practice of looking at several factors around why a pest problem might occur in a field and then trying to choose the best method or methods to control that pest. So some options for IPM include things like choosing a different variety of a crop that is less susceptible to that pest, or releasing beneficial organisms or insects into your crop that might prey on those target pests that you're trying to control. Provincial governments tend to have IPM specialists on staff who can work with farmers to help them choose the most effective control measures before having to resort to the use of pesticides.
Urban use, it's not being used for food products or for growing a crop. It's essentially for aesthetic use. And we're out here, we're trying to not only make a living, but we're trying to produce safe, healthy crops, and without the control of weeds and pesticides, the value of those crops and the integrity of those crops will be threatened. And I think we're nowhere near our well sources or anything like that. Whereas in an urban setting, you're always near your sources of water and your streets and stuff like that, and there's always more contact with the public. Whereas if we're spraying a 50-acre field with one person, that's one person per 50 acres, where in a city there could be 100,000 people per 50 acres. So the amount of exposure to that crop is minuscule compared to it can be in an urban setting.